What's going on, everyone? Range test day. Range test on the Wired Freedom from Wired E-Bikes. This is a pretty crazy powerful bike. It's got a 60 volt 20 amp hour battery pack, a 40 amp controller. It peaks well over 2,000 watts. This thing goes like 40 miles an hour. If you haven't seen the whole review on this bike, check that out. It is pretty crazy performance out of this bike. It only costs $19.99. It's $2,000 bicycle. So good bang for your buck on it. But today we're gonna test the range. I'm kind of curious, and I know some of you were as well, what kind of range you're gonna get out of the 60 volt battery, 20 amp hours. So let's turn it on. I already reset the trip meter down to 0, and I've also got my phone in my pocket with the GPS app running to keep track of mileage. So we'll get two different readings. Okay, so range tests. It's always difficult to explain range to people. Everybody always wants to know what the range of a bike is, but it varies dramatically because a lot of factors come into play. The weather outside. Today it's like 50 degrees in North Carolina. Your weight. I weigh 180 pounds. If you weigh 120 or 250, your range is going to be different. Weight plays into it a lot. Of course, battery capacity is a big determiner of range. What else? Tire pressure. I got the tire pressure set at like 20 pounds, maybe like 18, 20 pounds PSI. Terrain, you know, are you going up a lot of hills? Are you on pavement? Are you off-road? There's just so many things that factor in. So let me give you the basics here. I already told you I weigh 180. This bike weighs like 78, I think. It's got a 20 amp hour battery pack, 60 volt. I'm gonna stay on the pavement. I'm not really gonna take this bike off-road. I'm gonna say probably mostly flat terrain. I'm not really gonna do a ton of hills because I don't really live in a hilly area. That's about all you need to know. I'm gonna try to, right now I'm in pedal assist 1. I'm gonna try to ride this bike aggressively. So I'm gonna put it in like pedal assist, maybe 2 or 3. Probably keep it in 2 or 3 most of the time and use the throttle as much as I want. It's gonna be a range test where I use this bike as I think most people are going to. I'm gonna use heavy pedal assist, heavy throttle, and just see how far it'll go with what I think is gonna be typical riding for a bike like this. When you got a bike that performs as well, people are they're gonna be pushing it all the time. They're not gonna be babying it and conserving the battery. So I'm not gonna ride it like that. And I'll just check in at various points and let you know how it's going. We got battery bar indicator here and also the voltage. I started out at just over 67 volts, you know, fully charged 60 volt battery, like 67.5 I think when I left the garage. So let's see how the Wired Freedom does. I'm kind of curious. I always give my guess at the beginning of where I think it's going to end up mileage wise because I've done so many of these range tests. So I'm going to say, okay, 20 amp hour battery pack, 60 volt. Being that this bike is so powerful, I feel it's going to eat through some battery, right? I feel it's going to chew the battery up maybe pretty quick. I'm going to guess 33 to 35 miles. I think was what I'm going to get out of this bike. That's my guess at the very beginning. We'll see where she ends up. Check back in shortly. All right, I'm only about 6 miles in, but I ran across this cool neighborhood. Check this out. So the way the houses are set up, this is everybody's front yard. So everybody's front of their house opens up to literally just this one sidewalk that goes through. I'm gonna just creep through real slow. This is everybody's front yard. Just a pedestrian sidewalk. I've never seen anything like this. Oh my God, there's a pedestrian roundabout. Hi, how are you? Very interesting. That's pretty cool. That's kind of cool how it's set up. So that's the front, everybody's front yard. And then their backyard is where all the cars and garages are. And it's a regular street. So this is the back of all the houses. Everybody's garage opens up back here. All right, enough playing around in there. I am gonna probably keep this bike in pedal assist 2 for most of this ride. I mean, there's so much power in pedal assist 2, I don't really need to go above that. I mean, it's giving me 500 watts right now, and it's easy to go 20 miles an hour just in pedal assist 2. So I don't really have the need to go to 3 or 4 or 5, so I can just hit the throttle whenever I need it. But I've been using the throttle pretty heavy, just, you know, getting out into traffic like this, getting up to speed. And back off the throttle and just going at 540 watts, just clicking along, pedal assist 2. All right, but we need to start laying down some miles here. This bike has been a performer. Holy cow, I mean, there's so much power in this thing. It's crazy. All right, we're out clicking off some miles here on this country road. And I finally lost the battery bar after just over 15 miles, like 15 and a half miles it took for that first battery bar to go down. There's 4 segments to the thing. So, I mean, does that mean I'm going to get 15 miles every bar and go 60 miles? I don't think it's going to go 60 miles. I think we're going to start burning through it quicker, but just pedal assist 2, humming along, using the throttle when necessary. I'm at 60.6 volts still. I'm at 16.8 miles. I think it's probably going to beat what I guessed, but we'll see. This is why we do these range tests. I hate range tests. Well, I mean, I hate the data's not like, this is just one guy's experience. You know, your range could be plus or minus 10, 15 miles, just depending on all those other factors. So the best part of the range test is just the scenery and like learning my town and exploring and finding new stuff. That's probably the best part. This takes usually a couple hours. I'm probably going to be out here for 2.5, 3 hours burning through this battery. But sit back and enjoy the ride. I guess it's a comfy ride. I mean, I got dual suspension. I got these tall upright BMX bars. I changed out the grips, put on these round rubber locking grips, which I like a lot better. But yeah, we'll see where we end up. Usually the middle battery segments go a little quicker, but we'll find out. I'll check back in shortly. Cut up here. I want to show you guys that they use electric golf cart bike things. See that? They're like little bicycles that hold golf bags. Very interesting. Looks like it says Finn on it. Pretty cool looking. Pretty cool. No more electric, well, they have electric carts too, but you can ride electric bikes at the golf course. Oh, you went down another battery bar. We're down 2 segments now. 58 volts, well, it came back. So it's kind of fluctuating between down 1 and down 2. I'm at 20.4 miles. Let's keep trucking along. All right, we've made it down to our last remaining battery bar. I'm reading 57.8 volts. I've gone 26.1 miles. So we're getting close to the end. My guess might end up being right on the money. I said, what, like 33, 35? Somewhere in there. It's still got really good power in the throttle, and I've been heavy on the throttle, just pedaling along, pedal assist 2, and then anytime I come to a hill or whenever I feel like I just blast the throttle and take off. So heavy throttle usage, 26 miles in. I will let you know once I think we are nearing the very end. I usually take these bikes all the way until there's just no more usable power, you know, and it's just creeping along at 5-6 miles an hour, and that's all you got. That's pretty much the end. So we're going to take it till there's no more usable power and see what that is. I'm holding firm on my guess. I think we're going to get up in the 30s somewhere. Be back shortly. All right, our battery bar is completely empty. It says 55.9 volts. I've gone 33.9 miles. It's still going though. I mean, it's still operating even though there's no battery life left on the screen. So it's got to be pretty much out of juice by this point, right? I'm just going to keep the camera on and we're going to drive up this hill up here and see how far we get with no battery life. Still give me 500 watts in pedal assist 2. We're at the bottom of our hill climb. Hill climb hill's right up here, so let's go try it and see what happens. I almost nailed that with the distance. I mean, the last range test I did was the same size battery pack and it went 40 miles, but that bike didn't output as much power, so I figured this would be a little less. All right, here's the hill climb hill. This should kill it, right? I'm gonna hit the throttle, see what happens. Kicked right in, give me 1500 watts, 1600. Holy cow. I mean, it's giving me 1600 watts still, and it's flying up this hill. Voltage is down to 51. I don't know what the minimum voltage cutoff is on a 60 volt battery. Still tons of power. Gosh. I mean, even right now, with no battery life, it's still more powerful than a 750 watt e-bike. Maybe we'll go up here and do a top speed and see how fast it'll go with no battery. We're at 54.2 volts. 34.5 miles. Let's do a top speed up here. Let's see what it's got left in it. Throttle. Takes off like crazy. Wow. I mean, holy cow. 31 miles an hour still. At the tail end of its battery life, it's still going 31 miles an hour. I mean, the power is still extremely usable at this point. It's just there's no battery bars left, so I don't know how. I mean, is it just going to cut out of nowhere? Most of the time they kind of just die a slow, gradual death, and they get slower and slower. But every once in a while you get one of those bikes where it's just boom, cuts out. It's full power and then bam, power's gone. I think that's when they hit like the minimum voltage cutoff. But I mean, look at it get up and run. Crazy. Maybe I should just do throttle only all the way back home. I'm probably like a mile from home. We'll throttle only. Ooh, actually, we're over at the other steep hill climb test. Let's try that. So my short, steep little grass hill that none of the bikes can climb. No 750 bike has made it up the hill, throttle only. This bike, when it's fully charged, does it like nothing. But let's see when there's basically no battery left, if it'll climb this hill throttle only. Alright, here we go. I'll give it a run this time. I don't think last time I even gave it a run. But we'll back up into the woods, give it a run. I think it's probably, I bet it does it. I bet it does it. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Oh my God, it did it. This thing is so strong. Look at that, there's no battery. I haven't had battery bar for 2 miles. And this thing's still going. We're at 35 miles. I'm just gonna throttle only, I think, the way home. Try to burn this thing down. I can't believe it climbed that hill. Wow. I mean, the majority of the bikes I am on never do that. There's like 1 or 2 that make that hill, and this did it with no battery. Insane. All right, let's do the no battery life acceleration test. Here we go, throttle only. Still stronger than pretty much any 750 bike. How long is this gonna go? I mean, it has lost power. I mean, normally on a full charge, it would be going almost 40 miles an hour right there. So it can only go 31, but still, that's pretty crazy. Like, the amount of power. Oh, there it went. It's flashing now. Just felt it cut out. Down under 53 volts. Yep, okay, so now it's time to go for home. There you go. That's probably the end right there. Because when I hit this throttle again, it's gonna crank the voltage down and you're gonna lose power. So there you go, 36 miles. This is the point where you need to be a couple blocks from home because you're gonna be pedaling this heavy bike home. So let's stop and check the GPS. So 36 miles, 36.1 on the bike, 37.97. So it's actually showing almost 2 miles further on the GPS app. All right, so there you go, 36 miles on the bike, 38 miles on the GPS. Let's call it 37. 37 miles on the Wicked Freedom with riding mostly in pedal assist 2 and using the throttle a lot. Riding it how I think people would want to ride this bike. Heavy throttle, pedal assist 2. I mean, when you're pedal assist 2, it's still giving you 500 watts, so it's keeping you above 20 miles an hour as you're going down the road. You don't really need much more than that. This is the end, and we're right back where we started. Same exact spot. Let's give you one final look at the Wicked Freedom. I got a little muddy. I found some mud. There it is. I mean, pretty respectable, I'll say, out of that battery pack. 60 volt, 20 amp hour, 37 miles, I'm gonna call it. With the power this thing's got, I mean, it pretty much had full power right up until the very end. I mean, I was going 31 miles an hour on this thing until the very end. But time to head for home. I hope you found this helpful. That's, like I said, just one piece of data. You might get more out of it if you don't use the throttle a whole lot, or if you're lighter weight than I am. I weigh 180. But I hope you found that helpful. If you did, consider hitting subscribe. Check out my range test playlist. I've done this with I don't know how many bikes. That's why I'm able to guess it within a couple miles every time. I've done so many range tests. I got a really good idea how far bikes are gonna go. There you go, hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to y'all later.